Ladies and gentlemen, will you please switch off your mobile phones? When you take the floor to put questions, please put one single question and also identify yourself and the organization you work for. This is how we go today. The Chief Executive will be making a statement in Cantonese and English, followed by the SJ in Cantonese and English. And then I'll throw the floor open for questions. As I said, please raise your hands. Please be restricted to one single question each time. Are you done with the photography? Chief Executive, please. Ladies and gentlemen, after careful consideration, we have obtained the Executive Council's approval in principle this morning to accept the one person, two votes proposal from the Democratic Party for returning the 5 new functional constituency seats in 2012, and to implement this proposal at the local legislation level. This has once again demonstrated our resolve and commitment to promoting democratic development in Hong Kong. The Democratic Party's proposal, we believe, complies with the Basic Law and the decision of the National People's Congress Standing Committee in 2007. It also helps forge a community consensus on further advancing democracy in our city. The sincerity and commitment of the Democratic Party deserve full support and recognition from members of the LegCo and the public. Over the past few days, I have also met members of pro-establishment political groups, including the DAB, the FTU, the Economic Synergy, the Liberal Party, and the Professional Forum, as well as some other LegCo members. They had pledged support for the government's original package to roll forward Hong Kong's democracy, to ensure the passage of the reform package in LegCo, and to pave the way for universal suffrage in Hong Kong. They are ready to put aside arguments and support the revised package. They are doing it for the overall interest of Hong Kong. I truly appreciate their enthusiasm and hard work in pushing Hong Kong's democratic advancement, in narrowing differences, and in building consensus. It is such enthusiasm and perseverance that we need in promoting Hong Kong's constitutional and social development. Various opinion polls have pointed to the fact that members of the public want our constitutional system to move forward in 2012. However, the political reality was that our original package fell short of a few votes to meet the 40-vote threshold for its passage. We did not give up. We talked to different political parties and groups. We went direct to the community to enlist support. After extensive consultation, I'm very happy that we have made a major breakthrough. The Executive Council has approved that following the passage of the motions on the amendments to the annexes of the Basic Law, we should stipulate the following electoral arrangements in local legislation. First, the 5 new functional constituency seats will be nominated by elected district council members for election on a one-person, one-vote basis by registered voters who currently do not have a right to vote in the functional constituencies. Second, the original district council functional constituency seat will be returned through election from among elected DC members. In other words, under this proposal, every voter will have 2 votes in the 2012 LegCo elections, one for geographical constituencies, the other for functional constituencies. We believe this proposal will enhance the democratic elements of our elections and pave the way for universal suffrage. We believe this revised proposal complies with the decision of the National People's Congress Standing Committee in 2007. The Secretary for Justice will explain this in detail in a moment. As regards the specific electoral arrangements for the 5 new functional constituencies, we will consult various parties and groups in LegCo and put forward proposals for local legislation after LegCo resumes business in autumn. The guiding principle is that such electoral arrangements must be fair and reasonable, ensuring a competitive election in which different political parties and groups may participate. As for the district council appointment system, we will put forth proposal for its abolition for consultation with LegCo and the public following the passage of the motions by LegCo. When there is a will, there is a way. After 2 decades of protracted arguments over constitutional reform, some rapid and encouraging changes have taken place over the past few months. The central authorities have made 2 public statements to clear the doubts of some members of the public about the timetable and definition of universal suffrage. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party has taken a rational stance in the discussion on constitutional development within the confines of the Basic Law and the decision of the NPCSC decision in 2007. They've also sought the opportunity to meet and discuss constitutional reform with CPG Liaison Office. The Hong Kong government has taken the initiative in making this meeting possible. Today, 2 days before the vote, we have decided to take on board the 1 person, 2 votes proposal. The pro-establishment political groups and LegCo members have also accepted this proposal because they believe it is in the best interest of society. It all goes to show how crucial it is for us to work together if we are to make real progress in advancing democracy in Hong Kong. The Legislative Council will vote on the motions this week to amend Annexes 1 and 2 of the Basic Law. We will be taking a proud step towards universal suffrage in 2007 and 2010. I appeal to all LegCo members to vote for the motions. This will make history for Hong Kong. This will bring Hong Kong to a brighter future. Thank you very much.
This morning, we put forward to the Executive Council the Democratic Party's proposal on 1 person, 2 votes for returning the 5 new functional constituency seats in 2012. We shall implement this proposal by local legislation. The Executive Council has given its approval in principle. This has once again demonstrated our resolve and commitment to promoting democratic development in Hong Kong. We believe that the Democratic Party's proposal complies with the Basic Law and a 2007 decision of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. It will also help forge a community consensus towards universal suffrage. The sincerity and commitment of the Democratic Party deserve full support and recognition from members of the LegCo and the public. Over the past few days, I have met various political groups, including DAB, FTU, Economic Synergy, Liberal Party, and Professional Forum, as well as some other LegCo members, and listened to their views. They had already pledged support for the government's original package to advance democracy in Hong Kong. They are now willing to put aside the reservation and have indicated their support for the revised package. They are doing it for the overall interest of Hong Kong, in sharing the common goal of achieving universal suffrage. I truly appreciate their altruism, enthusiasm, and hard work. Such sincerity and perseverance in rational dialogue and accommodation of different opinions are essential for Hong Kong's constitutional development and social progress. Various opinion polls have pointed to the fact that members of the public want our constitutional system to move forward in 2012. The political reality is that our original package falls short of a few votes to meet the 40-vote threshold for its passage in LegCo. But we did not give up. We have talked to different political groups and parties. We exchanged views. We have gone direct to the community to enlist their support. I'm very happy that we have now made a major breakthrough. Once the motions on the amendments to the annexes of the Basic Law are passed, we shall pursue the following electoral arrangements through local legislation. First, candidates for the 5 new functional constituency seats will be nominated by elected district council members. They will be elected by all registered voters who currently do not have a right to vote in functional constituencies on a one-person, one-vote basis. Second, the original district council functional constituency seat will be returned through election from among elected DC members. In other words, under this proposal, every voter will have 2 votes in the 2012 LegCo elections, one for geographical constituencies and the other for functional constituencies. We believe this proposal will make our election more democratic and will pave the way for universal suffrage. We believe this revised proposal complies with the decision of the National People's Congress Standing Committee in 2007. The Secretary of Justice will explain this in detail later. As regards the specific electoral arrangements for the 5 new constituency seats, we will consult various parties and groups in LegCo and put forward proposals for local legislation after LegCo resumes business in the autumn. The guiding principle is that such electoral arrangements must be fair, reasonable, ensuring a competitive election in which different political parties and groups may participate. As for the district council appointment system, we shall put forth proposals for its abolition. In this regard, we will consult LegCo and the public following the passage of the motions by LegCo. After 2 decades of protracted arguments over constitutional reform, some rapid and encouraging changes have taken place over the past few months. The central authorities have made 2 public statements to clear any doubt of some members of the public on the timetable and definition of universal suffrage. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party has taken a rational stance in a discussion on constitutional reform within the parameters of the Basic Law and the 2007 decisions of the Standing Committee. They have also sought the opportunity to meet and discuss constitutional reform with central government's officers. The Hong Kong government has taken the initiative, making this meeting possible. Today, 2 days before the vote, we have decided to take on board the 1-person, 2 votes proposal. Many LegCo members have accepted this proposal because they believe it is in the best interest of the community. It all goes to show how crucial it is for us to work together if we are to make real progress in advancing democracy in Hong Kong. The Legislative Council will vote on the motions later this week. I appeal to all LegCo members to vote for the motion. This will make history for Hong Kong. This will pave the way for universal suffrage in 2017 and 2020. Thank you very much.
唔該晒曾先生，跟住請律政司司長黃仁龍就新。
Thank you, Mr. Jiang. We now call upon the Secretary of Justice, Mr. Wong Yanlong, to speak on the new District Council function constituency election methods. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now further explain why, after giving the matter in-depth consideration, the government takes the view that the new District Council functional constituency election method for the additional 5 seats, i.e. the so-called adjusted method mentioned by the Chief Executive just now, is consistent with the Basic Law and the decision of the Standing Committee of National People's Congress. According to the NPCSC Decision 2007 for the 2012 Legislative Council elections,
The half-and-half ratio between members returned by functional constituencies and members returned by geographical constituencies through direct elections shall remain unchanged. However, subject to this and other conditions, appropriate amendments conforming to the principle of gradual and orderly progress may be made to the specific method for forming the fifth-term LegCo of the Hong Kong SARG in the year 2012 in accordance with the provisions of Article 68 and Article 3 of Annex 2 of the Basic Law. The NPCSC decision of 2007 did not prescribe any method as to how the functional constituency seats should be returned. The details relating to the specific methods for returning functional constituencies are left to local legislation in accordance with Article 68 and Annex 2 of the Basic Law. All along, and according to Annex 2 of the Basic Law, the delimitation of functional sectors, their seat allocation, and election methods are matters which can be specified by an electoral law introduced by the government of the HKSARG and passed by the Legislative Council. The Chief Executive has just outlined the new DCFC election method. I would like to emphasize what the government considers to be some salient features. First, candidates must themselves be elected district council members. Second, candidates must be nominated by elected district council members. Third, candidates will be elected through one person, one vote by the registered electors in Hong Kong, less those electors who currently have the right to vote in the other functional constituencies. In other words, the electoral base will be about 3,170,000, being the total 3.4 million registered electors less 230,000 electors. Firstly, the new DCFC is not direct election. The candidates are limited to elected district council members nominated by elected district council members, not any of the Chinese nationals among the 3.4 million registered electors in the geographical constituency electoral registers. Secondly, the new DCFC election is not geographical constituency direct elections. The new DCFC members are not returned by GC through direct elections. This is because not all the 3.4 million registered electors in the GC electoral registers are entitled to vote, but the right to vote is confined to the registered electors other than those already entitled to vote on the other FCs. District Council has always been a functional constituency for the purpose of LegCo election. For the existing LegCo, 1 out of the 30 FC seats comes from the District Council. District Council is a functional constituency under Section 21ZB of the Legislative Council Ordinance. The following functional the District Council has the functions of giving advice to the government regarding district administration and promoting district development. A specific function can be readily identified which is different from the case of members returned by GC direct elections. The expansion of the electorate base for the District Council FC members does not alter the functional nature of the District Council. Each of the 5 LegCo members returned through DCFC election method is a LegCo member returned by FC. He or she will still be the representative of the District Council in the LegCo. Further, if were to further analyze the new DCFC election method by reference to the 3 aspects of candidature, nomination, and electoral base, that is become even clearer that the DCFC election remains a FC election as opposed to GC direct election. As for unlike geographical constituency direct elections, where any of the Chinese nationals among the registered electors can be nominated as a candidate, the new DCFC candidate must be an elected member of the District Council. Unlike GC direct elections, where any registered elector can be a subscriber to a nomination for a candidate, in the new DCFC election, the only elected District Council members can be a subscriber to a nomination for a new DCFC candidate. Unlike GC direct elections, where all registered electors with the geographical constituency electoral register can vote in the new DCFC election, only those registered electors who do not have the right to vote in the other functional constituency can vote. The necessary changes to implement the new DCFC election are matters relating to the delimitation of functional sectors, their seat allocation and election methods, which can be achieved by way of local legislation. Further, the new DCFC election is consistent with the principle of gradual and orderly progress. The electoral system is not static. We are moving towards the ultimate aim of universal suffrage. Plainly, the enlargement of the electoral base is an important facet of this progress. The new DCFC election is consistent with basic law and the 2007 NPCSC's decision. It provides a useful means to effect gradual and orderly progress towards universal suffrage, appeal to all eligible members to support it, and to give Hong Kong an opportunity to move forward on constitutional development.
We now further explain why, after giving the matter in-depth consideration, the government takes the view that the new District Council functional constituency election method for the additional 5 seats, here below known as the new DCFC election method, and that is the so-called adjusted method mentioned by the Chief Executive just now, is consistent with the basic law and the decision of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress in 2007. According to the NPCSC decision in 2007, for the 2012 Legislative Council elections, the half-and-half ratio between members returned by functional constituencies and members returned by geographical constituencies through direct elections shall remain unchanged. However, subject to this and other conditions, appropriate amendments conforming to the principle of gradual and orderly progress may be made to the specific method for forming the 5th term Legislative Council of the Hong Kong SAR in the year 2012 in accordance with the provisions of Article 68 and Article 3 of Annex 2 of the Basic Law. The NPCSC decision of 2007 did not prescribe any method as to how the functional constituency seats should be returned. Therefore, the details relating to the specific methods for returning functional constituencies are left to the local legislation in accordance with Article 68 and Annex 2 of the Basic Law. All along and according to Annex 2 of the Basic Law, the delimitation of functional sectors, their seat allocation and election methods are matters which can be specified by an electoral law introduced by the government of the Hong Kong SAR and passed by the Legislative Council. The Chief Executive has just outlined the new DCFC election method. I would like to emphasize what the government considers to be some salient features. First, candidates must themselves be elected District Council members. Second, candidates must be nominated by elected District Council members. Third, candidates will be elected through one person, one vote by the registered electors in Hong Kong, less those electors who currently have the right to vote in other functional constituencies. In other words, the electorate base will be about 3.2 million, being the total of 3.43 million registered electors, less 230,000 electors for the other functional constituencies. Firstly, I would like to point out the new DCFC election is not direct election. The candidates are limited to elected District Council members, nominated by elected District Council members, not any of the Chinese nationals among the 3.43 registered electors in the geographical constituency electoral registers. Secondly, the new DCFC election is not geographical constituency direct elections. The new DCFC members are not returned by geographical constituencies through direct elections. This is because not all the 3.43 registered electors in the geographical constituency electoral registers are entitled to vote. But the right to vote is confined to the registered electors other than those already entitled to vote in the other functional constituencies. District Council has always been a functional constituency for the purpose of the Legislative Council election. For the existing Legislative Council, 1 out of the 30 functional constituency seats comes from the District Council. District Council is a functional constituency under Section 21ZB of the Legislative Council Ordinance, Cap 542. The District Council has the functions of giving advice to the government regarding district administration and promoting district development. A specific function can readily be identified, which is different from the case of members returned by geographical constituency direct elections. The expansion of the electorate base for the District Council functional constituency members does not alter the functional nature of the District Council. Each of the 5 electoral members returned through the new DCFC election method is a Legislative Council member returned by a FC, functional constituency. He or she will still be the representative of the District Council in LegCo. Further, if one were to further analyze the new DCFC election method by reference to the 3 aspects of candidature, nomination, and electorate base, that it becomes even clearer that the new DCFC election remains a functional constituency election as opposed to geographical constituency direct election. First of all, on candidature, unlike geographical constituency direct elections, where any of the Chinese nationals among the registered electors can be nominated as a candidate, the new DCFC candidates must be an elected member of the District Council. Secondly, nomination. Unlike geographical constituency direct elections, where any registered elector can be a subscriber to a nomination for a candidate, in the new DCFC election, only elected District Council members can be a subscriber to a nomination for a new DCFC candidate. Thirdly, electorate base. Unlike the geographical constituency direct elections, where all registered electors with the geographical constituency electoral registers can vote, in the new DCFC election, only those registered electors who do not have the right to vote in the other functional constituencies can vote. The necessary changes to implement the new DCFC election are matters relating to the delimitation of functional sectors, their seat allocation, and election methods, which can be achieved by way of local legislation. Further, the new DCFC election is consistent with the principle of gradual and orderly progress. The electoral system is not static. We are moving towards the ultimate aim of universal suffrage. Plainly, the enlargement of the electorate base is an important facet of this progress. The new DCFC election is consistent with the Basic Law and the 2007 PCSC decision. It provides a useful means to effect gradual and orderly progress towards universal suffrage. I appeal to all LegCo members to support it and to give Hong Kong the opportunity to move forward on constitutional development. Thank you.
Thanks very much, SJ. Home Amendment, TVB. Mr. Chief Executive, this Democratic Party proposal has been put forward for some time. During the debate a couple of days ago, you were still promoting these 400 DC members electing among themselves. How long did it take you to consider whether this was in breach of the NPCSC's decision? Was it the case that you thought it was okay, and it was just that you tried to reduce the room for bargaining on the part of the Pan-Democrats? Is it the case that they should wait for a government's concession a couple of days before the vote? Well, it wasn't as smart as you made it out to be, considering so many steps. If you look at the Democratic Party's proposal, it wasn't a week or so ago that the seats, how the seats were defined, were put forward. It was on this basis that we followed up on the matter. So you must realize that it was an evolving process. I said before that I would seize every single minute, I would seize every opportunity to secure however many votes I can secure, to go as far as I can go. So this is a continuous process. And I have to consider how many votes I can secure before I take the next step. We haven't got any reservation. The key thing is that any proposals should not be in breach of the Constitution. and whether these would help us to get more democratic elements, and also whether we get 40 votes. I mean, these are the considerations that I have in mind. Apple Daily. Mr. Chief Executive, there are some members of the public who cast doubt on this proposal. They would say that there would be high nomination threshold to limit people taking part. Will the Tsang administration make sure that the nomination threshold will not be high? And the Democratic Party is staking their interest on this proposal. For people to take this small step, how can you make sure that people will not be betraying democracy if they support this proposal? When we talk about this one person, two votes proposal, we have to have consultation. We have to have legislation. I've made clear a number of key considerations and principles. This system has to be fair and reasonable. It has to allow different political parties to take part, and it's going to be a contested, a competitive election. We're not trying to make life difficult for any one particular political party. Over the past couple of weeks, we have been listening to the views regarding this one person, two votes arrangement from different parties, and also the nomination threshold. We haven't had any detailed discussion because this is left to local legislation. I haven't heard any political parties suggesting that the nomination threshold should be more than 20. We have more than 40 elected district councillors. Even if the threshold is 20, then there will be 20 taking part in the election. There's going to be a competitive election. It has to be fair and reasonable. We have to make sure that all political parties can take part. Now, TV Chen Wei-lei, Mr. Chief Executive, would like to find out about this Democratic Party's revised proposal. There was some change at the last minute. Why is it that the central authorities didn't quite accept the proposal at the very beginning? Will this revised model be extended to the 30 functional constituencies to make it sort of an ultimate model? The central authorities look at it from the constitutional point of view. I think the crucial issue is whether this proposal would be in breach of the Constitution. You heard what SJ explained. We're talking about a 2012 model. We are going to take advantage of these functional constituencies seats. This will be more democratic, and this will help us, will be conducive to achieving universal suffrage. Joseph Lee, China Daily. Mr. Chief Executive, there are reports that said that this revised model was rejected at one point by the central authorities. It was at a very late stage that you submitted this to the central authorities for reconsideration. Can you elaborate on this process? Why is it that this DP proposal managed to convince you to resubmit this to the central authorities for consideration? I've already answered this question. The Democratic Party suggested that it was only recently that they said this was the last remaining issue. They talked about a number of conditions, and things are evolving. We have to narrow the differences and achieve consensus. They made some proposals and suggestions, and they gave us some room for discussion. If you recall, we have to consider three principles. Gentleman over there. Mr. Chief Executive, Yang Hong-dat from Commercial Radio. From the SJ, the revised proposal has not changed the nature of the functional constituencies because will the government give the undertaking that with this revised model, with this attempt to enlarge the electoral base, will you be trying to perpetuate the functional constituencies by enlarging the electoral base in future? Well, I think you have to bear in mind that we're dealing with the 2012 package. Even with these one person, two votes model, it is a more democratic, more open, more progressive system, allowing more people to participate. This is worth supporting. As to 2016, 2017, 2020, and this is something for future discussion. As you all know, we will continue to pursue these matters. Last three questions, Cheif Wei. Mr. Chief Executive, there are a couple of days away from the voting. Do you think that this revised model will narrow the differences of LegCo and see it passed? Do you think that you will secure the support of the members of the public in this regard? The LegCo on Wednesday, what the LegCo is voting on is the amendment to the annexes of the Basic Law. The resolution has not been changed. As to how we can legislate locally for one person, two votes to be implemented, we need to have further discussion, and we need to have discussions in LegCo. As I said, by autumn this year, when LegCo comes back from the summer break, we're going to have further discussion.
The one in the second row. Mrs. Zhang, I'm from Mingpao. 2 days ago, you said that with regard to the political reform, that was the most important and most meaningful task in your over 40 years of career. Do you consider this is the greatest achievement if it is passed? And will the political environment be favorable for enacting Article 23 legislation? The passage of the resolution is for Hong Kong people, for the LegCo, for the community, and is a breakthrough. The last question. Thank you. I'm from the Oriental Daily. Mr. Chairman Kwong of the Democratic Party confirmed that the central government rejected the Democratic Party's proposal. Now, the sudden change and the giving of the green light, is it the result of public opinion? And after the debates, many people objected to the government's proposal. Is it the Chinese government, the central government is going to help the SARG and therefore agree to that proposal? Now, the discussion of this package was before the debate. The central government is concerned about the constitution. Any package or method, in particular this final method, whether it is in breach of the Basic Law or the decision of the NPCSC 2007. We've carefully considered that, and the central government has made a decision. We've considered that, and we believe there is no conflict, there is no breach, and that's a major reason. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's fair and reasonable.
Yes.
English question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Zhang. Damon Peng from RTHK. While this, your election pledge previously about completely solving the problem of universal suffrage is not actually completed yet. But with this having a constructive compromise from some parties you previously labeled as opposition, do you regard this as the biggest achievement in your political career? Thank you.
I think it's a considerable achievement of the Hong Kong community, not in any single person. If this resolution passes through Legislative Council, it will be an accomplishment of the Legislative Council of Hong Kong people and reflects our common goal of achieving universal suffrage in 2017 and 2020. Thank you very much.